My cottage cheese video from a few months ago blew up because these were recipes where you couldn't taste the cottage cheese at all. But here's what I didn't show you. I've been perfecting even more combinations in the kitchen, and these new bowls are honestly better than some of those. I'm talking about flavors that are so good that I've actually been making them for lunch every day this week and last week. Today I'm showing you my newest high protein cottage cheese bowls that taste like your favorite comfort foods, keep you full for hours, and it takes only about 5 minutes to throw together, or less. We're starting with one of my all-time favorite flavor combinations, Caprese. Or is it Caprese? I don't know, I don't care. But instead of mozzarella, we're using cottage cheese, and honestly, you wouldn't even be able to tell. Start by chopping up some grape tomatoes. You can chop them into halves or quarters, whatever you're feeling. Then chop up some basil. I got this from my garden, which is somehow still alive despite all of the summer traveling that we've been doing this year. I don't have an auto watering system, so they're on their own. And it's actually doing quite well. We'll see, we have one more vacation planned coming up here. You only need around a tablespoon of chopped up basil here. And the tomatoes, I used around 5 or 6, but whatever you want to use. Then you're gonna spread about a cup of cottage cheese onto a plate. And I like to spread onto a plate instead of just piling all the ingredients into a bowl. I feel like this way the toppings actually cover more surface area. So I guess these would be more of cottage cheese plates instead of bowls. Then sprinkle on the tomatoes, and I like to salt and pepper them here because tomatoes without salt is a crime, I think. You need to have salt on your tomatoes. At least I do. Then add on that chopped basil, and then I like to drizzle with a little bit of olive oil. My olive oil is a massive bottle from Costco, so pray that I don't get this all over the place and I don't end up with like a half cup of olive oil on this. And then I like to finish with a little bit of balsamic glaze. Yes, I know it has sugar in it, but it's just a tiny drizzle. And really it's for flavor. I don't care. I don't care it has sugar in it. But if you do, you could use balsamic vinegar instead, but it's not going to taste as good. This cottage cheese bowl, or plate, is so creamy and fresh, and you get those tomato basil balsamic bites that just scream summer in every single bite. This is a must make. Probably one of my favorites. This next bowl is all about texture and a little bit of heat. We're making a garden cottage cheese bowl with chili crisp in it because chili crisp is just everywhere right now. Actually, it was probably everywhere last year, but sometimes I'm a little bit behind on the times. Chili crisp is basically oil infused with some peppers, crispy garlic, other aromatics, and it adds crunch and flavor without just drowning your food and all those other ingredients. You want to slice up some cucumber into quarter moon shapes, and then I like to add in some avocado for some healthy fat. So I'm taking a half of an avocado, slicing that up and cutting it into chunks. And then I want to cut up this tomato too, just dice that up. This tomato I actually got from a farmer's market in Wallala, Oregon. They were so delicious and beautiful looking. This farmer's market was a little interesting too because it was actually inside of a thrift store. That was a first. But if you've ever been to Eastern Oregon, some of these towns, they are real country, which is why I like them. It's just like home. Now, to assemble this bowl, we're gonna spread on a half a cup of cottage cheese into our plate. Assemble the plate. And then add on our veggies. Actually, these are technically fruit because they have seeds in it. Anything that has seeds in it is actually a fruit, but we call them veggies. Then we're gonna drizzle about 1 to 2 tablespoons of the chili crisp on top of all of that. And then I like to finish with salt and pepper. And this one turned out really good too. The crispy garlic pieces and the chili crisp were the best part in my opinion. And then when you mix it all together, get all those flavors going with the garden vegetables and the creamy cottage cheese. It's so good. If you love these ideas, my protein-packed cookbook has a couple more cottage cheese bowl recipes inside, including one for a mac and cheese made with cottage cheese. Pre-order is open now, and I'll have it linked below in the description box and where you can get it, or just scan this right here if you're watching on your TV. And we actually made a new website for the cookbook, so make sure you check that out. Up next is a chicken bacon club cottage cheese bowl. Think BLT meets ranch chicken salad with this one. Start by chopping up 1 slice of thick cut bacon that you've already cooked. I actually cooked up a bunch of bacon earlier for breakfast, and I made it in the oven because I was making up a lot of bacon, and I actually saved this one because I knew I was gonna make this bowl later on. I do have instructions for how to cook bacon in your oven on my website. Just Google KetoFocus bacon in the oven to find how to do that. Then I'm gonna chop up some of that fresh tomato. You just need a little bit, like maybe 1 slice that you chop up. And then let's assemble our bowl. You wanna spread 3/4 of a cup of cottage cheese on a plate or bowl. I don't know why that's such a big deal to me. And then sprinkle on some ranch seasoning mix. And I get this one from Thrive Market. It's from the brand Primal Palette. It's the cleanest ranch dressing I've found. It doesn't have any of those junk filler ingredients in it. It's just made with just dry herbs. And then we're gonna top it with some cooked chicken. This is around 2 ounces of cooked, chopped, shredded chicken. And then add on that bacon that we cut up, and then around 1/4 cup of shredded lettuce, and then top it off with the chopped tomato. And I could finish the whole thing with about 1/2 ounce of shredded cheddar cheese. You can mix this one up, but like I said, if you have it on a plate, every time you scoop it, you're getting all of those bites of everything. And again, you can't even tell this one has cottage cheese in here. The combination sounds weird, but it's crunchy and creamy and tastes like you're eating like a chicken club sandwich. This next cottage cheese bowl is like having an Italian sub in a bowl with no bread. It's low carb and we're adding extra protein. Let's start by prepping up our ingredients. You're gonna have to start by cutting up some salami. This is around 3 slices of salami. And then cut up some turkey. This is deli turkey. You're gonna need around 1 ounce of that. And then provolone cheese. This is just 1 slice of provolone. You're gonna cut that up into little chunks. And the thing about this recipe is that you don't have to use salami. You could use pepperoni instead, or you can use different types of deli meats like ham or ham and turkey. Whatever. But this is more like an Italian sandwich that I'm making, so that's why I'm using the salami. I guess it would still be Italian if you used pepperoni. Then to assemble, we're gonna spread cottage cheese down. This is 1 cup of cottage cheese. And then I'm gonna season it with a little bit of pepper. I'm not gonna do any salt here because I find that the cottage cheese is salty enough. Plus there's salt in the deli meat too, so I just don't think that we need extra at this point. I don't wanna run the risk of it being too salty. Plus I'm gonna salt my tomato later on. Then we're gonna add on the chopped salami and the chopped turkey and that chopped up provolone cheese. And then I like to add a few forkfuls of pepperoncinis. I don't know why I struggle with food names sometimes. I just don't bother to look them up how to properly pronounce them. And then we're gonna add some of that fresh tomato. Then just like Jersey Mike sandwiches, or maybe it's Subway sandwiches, we're gonna add on a splash of red wine vinegar and a little bit of olive oil. And then I'm gonna season it with just a little bit more pepper on top, and then a hint of salt too, just because I love having salt with my tomatoes. And this also turned out so good. I feel like it tastes like a Jersey Mike sub without the bread. And you know what? You can actually watch me take a bite of this one because I prepped this one up for the week too. That's what's cool about these cottage cheese bowls, is that you can meal prep them. You can prep up a bunch of them and have them for lunch or for dinner throughout the week. Can't even taste the cottage cheese. A breakfast obsession of mine lately are these jammy eggs inside of a cottage cheese bowl, especially when the eggs come out just right. Start by air frying 2 eggs. I'm gonna air fry these at 270 degrees Fahrenheit for around 11 minutes because this recipe is actually trending on TikTok for these jammy eggs in a cottage cheese bowl, and that's what a video had said to do. After they're done cooking, you're gonna immediately transfer them to an ice bath and let them sit there until they're cool completely. And while my eggs are cooling, I'm gonna slice up some avocado. I'm trying to slice this up aesthetically pleasing for you too, but I'm really just not good at making perfect avocado spreads. So I'm trying to do the best I can, but sorry if it doesn't look all that great. Now that my eggs are cool, we're gonna peel them. And as I'm peeling these, I notice that the shell is actually sticking to the egg, which makes me wonder if these are actually undercooked. I hope not, because that's one of the signs that you might have not have cooked your eggs that long. Or it could be that they're just too fresh too, which I did just buy these yesterday. It also makes me kind of regret not following the instructions on my website. I actually have a post on there of how to make hard-boiled eggs in the air fryer, specifically jammy eggs too, but I didn't follow those instructions. I thought maybe TikTok knew better, but maybe it doesn't. Then to assemble the bowl, we're gonna spread down 1 cup of cottage cheese, and then lay down the sliced avocado. And here comes the moment of truth. Are these jammy eggs? Actually, they're not too bad. And the second one actually looks even better. Now to finish this, I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit of olive oil and sprinkle some smoked paprika on top of the eggs. I started doing this recently and it's so good. I wouldn't have ever have thought of that except for I saw a TikTok video on it. And then to finish it off, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt on the eggs and the avocado. And this turned out so good too. It's such an easy combination to do in the mornings. And you can actually prep up your Jammy eggs ahead of time too. Just cook up a bunch in the air fryer, toss them in the water to cool, and then leave them either peeled or unpeeled. So in the morning, you just slice them and throw them on your cottage cheese bowl. Now let's switch from some savory cottage cheese bowls to some sweet cottage cheese bowls. And up first is a peanut butter pudding cottage cheese bowl with a magic shell topping too. We're gonna blend this all together to make a pudding. So we're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of cottage cheese into a blender or mini food processor, and then add 1/4 cup of plain Greek yogurt, a tablespoon of almond butter. I know I said that this was a peanut butter bowl, but almond butter is a little bit better for you and less carbs. So that's why I'm using it. So technically it's an almond butter bowl, but that just doesn't sound very good. So we're gonna go with peanut butter. And actually, trust me, I've made this one before. It tastes like peanut butter. Then add in 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract and then 1 tablespoon of sugar-free sweetener. We're gonna blend that all together. And I actually had problems with this blender. This was a new blender that I got and that I hadn't used yet. And I couldn't figure out why it wasn't blending until I actually had to even Google it to figure out how to get this thing to work. I thought it was a no-brainer thing. It should be. It actually was operator error. I just hadn't turned the mechanism enough to actually start the blending process. But even when I figured out how to use it, I was kind of disappointed because it wasn't fully blending everything. It was just mixing everything on the bottom. I think because it's more of a smoothie blender instead of like something like a pudding or if you're making a smoothie bowl. So it was only blending everything on the bottom of it. But oh well, I just went with it. So now that we have that mixture, we're gonna spread it onto our plate. I'm not quite sure why I'm still spreading things on a plate at this point because you really could use a bowl, but I just wanted everything to look uniform. So I'm sticking to my plate theme. Now to finish this off, you could just enjoy this like this, but I'm gonna make a magic shell topping to go on top. We're gonna take a small bowl and sprinkle in some sugar-free chocolate chips. You can use Lily's, Chalk Zero, whatever your favorite brand is, and then add a teaspoon of coconut oil to it. And then we're gonna microwave this at 20-second intervals, stirring it in between until it's melted. Once it's nice and melted, we're gonna drizzle that on top of the peanut butter mixture. And then I like to put this in the freezer for around 30 to 60 minutes. That just gets our chocolate shell to harden. Plus it kind of makes the pudding a little bit more scoopable, like an ice cream type texture. Then when you go to eat this, you can crack that magic shell to get chunks of chocolate in every single bite. And this was pretty good. I love the combination of the hardened chocolate along with the peanut butter pudding. I'm not such a big fan of cottage cheese in sweet bowls, but they're kind of growing on me. Next up, we're gonna make a low-carb s'mores cottage cheese bowl. This one really excited me when I saw it on TikTok. This one we're gonna need to blend up too, but this time I'm gonna use my Ninja mini food processor because it does a much better job. Plus I didn't really wanna have to wash out that other one. We're gonna add 1/2 cup of cottage cheese to the blender, and then 1/2 cup of plain Greek yogurt. And then you'll need 1 scoop of marshmallow flavored protein powder. I got this one on Amazon and it sold me because it said it tasted like the jet puffed marshmallows, which is like heaven on earth. Then for the graham cracker portion of the s'more, I'm gonna add in a few tablespoons of Catalina Crunch Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal into this. This cereal is low carb, only has around 5 net carbs per 1/2 cup. And then I'm gonna blend this up until it's smooth, but I still wanna have a little bit of those chunks of cereal in there, so I'm not gonna just overly blend it until everything's completely pureed. It's just a little bit. I don't want chunks of cottage cheese, but I want chunks of cereal. Once it's mixed up, we're gonna spread this on a plate. Again, I don't know why, just felt right. And then we're gonna top with a little bit more of the Catalina Crunch cereal, and then some sugar-free chocolate chips. And then I'm gonna use these freeze-dried marshmallows by Chalk Zero. These are very low in carb, practically 0 carbs, just because they're mostly air. When I did try this one, I found it to be okay. I really wanted some more marshmallow flavor in there. So I think next time if I were to make this, I would maybe just do 1/4 cup of cottage cheese and 1/4 cup of plain Greek yogurt, just so it doesn't overpower the taste of the marshmallow protein powder. I don't think I need 2 scoops of protein powder in there, just 1 scoop is probably fine. But I loved having the bites with a little bit of marshmallow bits in there. That was so good. If you're ready to binge on some more cottage cheese bowl ideas, click on this video right here because it's the original one that went viral that started it all for me. And you'll never look at cottage cheese the same again.